So, welcome to the Forgotten Realms. We find our heroes in and around the Moonsea area, which would be right there, kind of north-central of the known areas. Shortly after the Zentarum liberated and assumed control of Flan, a pact was enacted between the town and the dark fae of the Quivering Forest to the north. In exchange for forbidding travel and logging in the forest, the fae pledged to protect Flan. The fae would later honor their part of the bargain and spare the town from destruction at the hand of the Netherese, a fate that Zentil Keep and the Citadel of the Raven were less successful at avoiding. Meanwhile, the rich and fertile lands along the Stonejaw River north of Flan, so Flan is somewhere here, and the Stonejaw River runs north and south, north of that. These have always been an important source of food for the town. Farmers grow crops while doing their best in fending off the predations of wild beasts and other dangers that roam the unsettled wilds. They know the only way Flan is to survive is if the people can eat. Each time in its history Flan has been razed, the outlying farms suffer a similar fate. But just like the town itself, these outlying farms eventually build anew. So it's in the farmer's best interest to keep food flowing to Flan. In response to the dangers inherent in scratching out a living beyond the protective walls of Flan, the farmers built fortified hamlets at strategic locations along the river. Tiny little communities where they can bring their grain for sale and transport, and if things start getting bad, they can always shelter in these little hamlets. One such place is Cobble's Hill, a tiny village where the Stonejaw and the Quivering Forest come into close proximity. The community is little more than a wide spot in the road, a stopping point on the way to other places. Strange things are afoot in Cobble's Hill, however. So, one by one, I'll have you introduce your characters, starting with Sheris.
Okay, so Sheris is a half-elf. Carries a shield with a holy symbol of Remora and a quarterstaff that also has his arcane focus. I have an owl familiar who's usually about 25 feet above me.
Okay, and your AC?
19.
And your passive perception?
My passive perception is a 13.
Okay.
15.
Next, we'll start with our test.
Our test is a human male. He's dressed in a wolfskin loincloth, a wolfskin cloak, and carrying a staff. And he's just nervous as hell.
Okay. What's his class?
He's a monk.
Okay. What's his AC?
AC is 16.
And passive perception?
20.
And finally, Tristan.
So Tristan is a human monk. He is relatively quiet, dressed in the robes emblazoned with the symbol of Lathander. And he normally keeps quiet, but will engage in conversation with anybody that tries to talk to him. Armor class is 16. Passive perception is 15.
Okay. And you guys are kind of hanging out in Flan because there's a lot of adventure to be sought out of there, those sorts of things. So, Cheris, you were going through your pack one day to kind of organize your things, and you found a name with your note on it, or a note with your name written on it in fancy calligraphy. And our test, you're nervous for good reason.
Our test needs to hang out with Tristan because he's not from anywhere.
Okay.
He's basically from the wilds, raised by a wolf pack, and brought in by the monks. So they're trying to train him to be a human.
Okay, well, during the course of your training, you were sitting by a window eating like salty bread and beer and cheese and other things that monks eat. And while you're at that window, there's a really persistent crow. This persistent is all get out, tapping at the window, scratching around, making all kinds of fluttering noises and things like that. What would you like to do?
Open the window.
Okay, so you open the window, and the crow kind of hops in onto your table and extends its little leg with its claws and stuff, and there's a little note there.
Open the note.
Okay.
Hold it upside down.
Yep.
Turn it over.
Well, your name was written on it, and there's a message. But before that, Tristan, you were sitting across the table from him, and of course, all
He
this
hands
noise
the note
is
to
going on.
Riston. Our test doesn't read very well.
Right. Well, so at any rate, Tristan was there at the same time. This crow is making all this racket, and he sees all this going on, and he's taking all this in and takes a big swig of his ale, and he's at the last little few drops, and a coin clinks into his teeth. Tristan, what do you want to do with that coin?
This is the same crow that gave
Yeah,
our test.
you guys were at a table eating a breakfast of salty bread and ale and
Sure,
cheese.
okay.
Yeah, and you drink your beer, and this coin like knocks into your teeth that was in the bottom of your cup there.
All right, so I'll examine the coin.
Well, the coin has your name printed on it, and all three of you are reading your note, and Tristan, of course, you're reading a coin. And it says in tiny little script on the coin, but bigger script on the notes. You are invited to a meeting at the Leaky Bucket in Cobbles Hill at 6 p.m. on the morrow for an important mission on behalf of the Emerald Enclave. A boat upriver has been arranged for you at the docks.
So assuming our test, you know nothing about this.
I will hand him the note and
Well, I will have read it out loud and asked
okay.
You know nothing about this. This is news to you.
This is the first you're hearing of it, but it's not unusual for factions to occasionally enlist the help of adventurers that show promise.
So I will take this as a sign from the Lord's Alliance that my presence is required. So I will, I'll let you know, Artest, that I intend to go, and you're welcome to travel with me.
Our test will follow like the puppy dog he is.
Fair enough.
And Sheris, what are you thinking?
So what does the note say again? I'm sorry.
You keep dropping in and out for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that.
Okay. The note says you are invited to a meeting at the Leaky Bucket in Cobbles Hill tomorrow at 6 p.m. for an important mission on behalf of the Emerald Enclave. A boat upriver has been arranged for you at the docks.
Right, I go to the docks and look for the boat.
Okay, so you show up and you see Artest and Tristan there. Them being fellow adventurers, you've probably run into them at some point before, I'm assuming. And you all kind
I
of
think
hop on this boat, and it's ready to leave right when you get there. The captain at first looks at you and says, "I'm taking no passengers." But you show him your note, and he says, "Well, you guys are on the list." So the boat set sail at about 9 in the morning, and it had been more or less sunny and nice for quite a while in the region. And just to the south, over the Moonsea, you guys see the approach of a massive storm cell. And as you guys are pulling away from the docks, the wind starts to pick up, and rain starts to go, and you set sail about 9, and the storm blows in and with driving rains and strong, steady winds. The strong storm blew the boat northward up the river at a surprising speed. And it follows you all the way up the river. And the trip usually takes about a day and a half, but you guys made it by about 5 p.m. The boat was heading upriver with some supplies for Colvin's General Goods, which was carrying some farm implements and staple supplies for the inhabitants that they have to buy some stuff. They can't make everything for themselves. So you were above decks because the hold was more or less filled with cargo. You're kind of wet and tired from the travel, but it was quick and uneventful. And you arrive ahead of schedule at the docks here. So let me move you. Do some change here. You guys all get a different view.
Yep.
So you guys are represented by a little icon called the party, and you should be able to move that around. The one striking thing about the town is that it seems to be more or less deserted, and the captain is a little bit concerned because usually there's people at the docks to kind of help him land his boat and to unload things, but nobody is there, so you guys kind of jump off, and you've ridden boats before. You can certainly moor a boat to the docks. Kind of in the distance to the west, you kind of hear some loud voices coming from a building you can only assume is the Leaky Bucket.
Okay, well, I go to the Leaky Bucket.
Yeah, barring anything else catching our eye, that seems to be the place to go.
Yep.
Okay, so as you're approaching, the sounds get louder and louder, and about 2 seconds here.
Does it sound like people, or does it sound like beasts and combat and
Nope, it's
forth?
it's people. They seem to be loudly discussing something. And so
Then I'm in no hurry.
yeah, well, so you guys kind of scope it out a little bit. It's got those kind of old west doors that kind of swing on the hinges, and there's some sound of people in there. Just 1 minute here. And you're hearing, some loud talk and these sorts of things. People seem to be arguing about something. The inn sign, if you called that, is simply an old bucket dangling from a post. And the post has been driven into the ground in front of a 2-story building. The word inn has been painted on the sign in what appears to be pitch. The rain keeps going, and it's filled the bucket to the top, and water trickles out from more than a dozen places. Before you enter the place, you can hear a number of excited and angry voices emanating from inside. Above them, one voice bellows, "It's been over 210 days. What do you plan to do?" You guys are kind of on the edge of the doorway, kind of observing, and they haven't really seen you yet.
Our test does not know what to do.
Okay. Well, you can see a lot of people talking at once, gesturing and arguing with one another. And there's a male halfling standing on the bench, trying to calm everyone. And there's a female halfling woman standing next to him, shouting at everyone, including the other halfling, at the top of her lungs. And both her hands are wrapped menacingly around the handle of a rather large iron skillet.
I'm gonna take my quarterstaff, and I have no idea if this will work or not, given the but I'm gonna thump it loudly on the ground to try to start
And
to collect people.
I'm going to imitate him, but since I'm wearing the wolf cloak, I look like a wet dog
Yeah.
pounding on the floor with a staff.
And Sheriff, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add, no. I'm just going to see where this goes.
So, Tristan, you thump in the grass, nothing happens. You guys step inside, you thump on the wood, and all of a sudden all of the commotion stops and everybody looks at you. You can hear like a record screeching to a halt. And the halfling says, "Hello, my name is Hoop Brightball, owner and proprietor. How can I help you?"
It's I look at the back of the coin. No information helpful on it. Great. We're a little early, but we've been sent here to render assistance.
And he says, "Oh, we're just having a bit of trouble. Nothing to concern you fine folk about. We're just a small town. This is just small town squabbling. He's looking kind of sheepish.
Out with it.
He says, "Well, okay, maybe you should talk to my wife." And he points over to the other female halfling, and he says, "This is Grinna." And Grinna walks over to you and says, "What would you guys like to know? Obviously, you caught us in the middle of a heated discussion about some events that have happened recently."
Well, I suspect that those are the incidents that we've been sent here to investigate.
She says, "You must be from the Emerald Enclave. You're a day early." He says, 6 months ago, a man named Halvin Grangle moved into an abandoned barn a few hours walk west of Cobble's Hill. He's pretty strange, but he mostly keeps to himself. We used to see him quite regular, at least once a week. He would buy supplies, sell a few of his wood carvings, buy a meal here and there, and be on his way. A month ago, we stopped seeing him. We take care of each other in these parts. We have to. All sorts of things can happen to a person in the wild. So a few villagers went out to his place to see if he was okay, and there was no sign of him. All of his possessions were there. The only thing we found was a crudely drawn map sitting on the kitchen table. And the villagers are all kind of nodding in agreement. And she says, "Well, we got to looking at that map. It mostly had areas surrounding his place, but there were some parts of the quivering forest that were marked." And then a human female sitting more or less right in front of you interrupts, and she says, "And that's not all. He marked a green hall on the map." And Grinna says, "May I continue?" And shoots a look at the lady, and the lady kind of goes back to eating, and she says, "Well, there are some other areas deeper in the forest marked as well, and entry into this forest is strictly forbidden by the pack. It is what keeps Flan safe, as we all know." And they all kind of nod. And she's referring, this common knowledge in the area, the pact between Flan and the Fae, that they stay out of the quivering forest, and the Fae kind of help protect the area. And then a male villager sitting down the table says, "We don't go into the quivering forest, and the quivering forest doesn't come and steal our children in the night." And Grinna continues, "Well, we put two and two together. How would Halvin make a map of the forest unless he's been in there? So we sent a party into the forest after him, trying to find the fool before the Fae did. We asked for help from Sorellis Greenleaf, a half-elf that lives on the edge of the forest, but he refused. All of this was 10 days ago, and no one has heard or seen them since." And then there's a obviously drunk, big fat guy sitting there, and he says, "It was probably those damn fairies that killed my cows. Damn their wings." And the villagers know this guy, and he is a teller of tales and kind of has that reputation, and they all chuckle. And the drunk guy says, "Any of you fools that don't believe me, I'll take you and you can look for yourselves." And that's the they're all kind of talking for a little bit, and then they start breaking back into this whole heated discussion, and Grinna more or less shoos a whole bunch of them outside. Says, "You're done eating. Get your drunk ass out of here." She throws some people out to make room for you at the table, and Hoop walks over and says, "Well, would you like to stay for a meal and wash the dust off and the mud, obviously, because you're pretty soaked looking. Come dry by the fire. We've got a big pig roasting, and you've got to try the cabbage soup, and we'll put together a meal for you on the house, no charge."
It'd be greatly appreciated.
All right, and he points at what is obviously a bard in the corner and says, "Why don't you play them some music while they eat?" And so you guys are eating this food. You sit down at the table, and a server goes up to the pig, which is slowly roasting over the fire, carves off a big hunk of meat, puts it on a platter in front of you. Out comes some roasted potatoes that have been roasted with a little bacon, a little onion, some sort of a sauce with mustard and vinegar, and it's just fabulous. And then she brings out this cabbage soup with beans and all sorts of things in there, and it's like amazingly awesome stuff. Mugs of mead flow. Very satisfying dinner. You can see why it's such a popular inn. And while this is all happening, you see Hoop kind of walking around with a hat, approaching villagers, and they'll throw something into the hat every once in a while. And you're nearing the end of your dinner, and she says, "Well, finally you can have the pudding," and she brings out a bread pudding with raisins and cinnamon and nutmeg, and just fantastic. And somehow she got some sort of a vanilla bean in there, and there's like a flower on top. It's amazing. Hoop comes up to the table, and he says, "I have a proposal for you gentlemen, if you would listen."
Turn and face him, but don't say anything.
And he says, "Well, if you would be so kind, we have need of your services. I know that you were sent to figure out what was going on by the Emerald Enclave, but we feel that we'd like to know, in addition, what happened to those villagers and what happened to Halvin. We'd like to see if you can get to the bottom of all this." And he upends the hat onto the table, and he says, "This would be a special reward from us to you." And it's, you can see 50 gold pieces sitting there on the table.
Okay.
I suspect that one will lead to the other.
He says, "Well, so you guys agree then to help find or to see what became of the villagers and what became of our test. You'd forever have our gratefulness, and 50 gold to spare." He says, "One piece of advice. Before you venture into the quivering forest, if that's where your travels take you, it would be best to see if you can get Sorellis to help you. He's a half-elf, or she's a half-elf, that knows the quivering forest very well, and serves as kind of a go-between between us and the Fae of the Forest and Greenhall, which is elven settlement about 3.5 or so days into the forest."
Is he in regular contact with the elves in the wood? Or is she in regular contact with the elves in the wood?
That's what we're told. She stops into town every now and again to make sure that everything's okay here and see if we need anything, and The other thing she does is kind of patrol just in case kids wander into the forest, and we shouldn't be in there, but you know how kids are, and occasionally you get one with a little adventurous streak. I like staying at home, minding my inn, having good food, these sorts of things, but every once in a while someone in the area will get a wild hare and go up into the forest, and usually Sorellis catches them before any real damage can be done. And all this is going on, and all of a sudden you hear a scream of terror, and a heartbeat later that human who'd interrupted Grinna runs in, and she says, "They know what we did." And she's throwing herself at Grinna's feet and clawing madly at the halfling's clothes with one hand pointed out the door with the other. So she's kind of pointing outside.
I think we should probably go check to see what this is about.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Whip around.
Yep, 1 second here. Have to get something ready. Okay. Alright, so everybody runs out, and everybody's pushing their way to get out of the inn there, and they're all running out towards the direction of this fountain that you passed. And you make your way over there, and there's a man who is kind of propped over the edge of the fountain, and he's clearly dead. Bloody, all these sorts of things, and he looks like he's been mutilated. And the lady's like, "Oh, poor Rourke," and she's like completely aghast. And you see that there's a bone pinning a note to his chest, and there's something unusual about his eyes.
So is the big fat guy around?
The fat guy is standing there as well. Like pretty much everybody that was in the tavern is looking, and they're really all just crazy, freaked out by the situation.
I will attempt to enlist the aid of the fat man to pull the guy down. And it probably would not be helpful, but Tristan would do this anyways to get his attention. He snaps in his face. Help me get him down.
Okay, you do that.
I'll go help him pull him down.
And as you position him on the ground and get a little bit closer look at him, you see that the man's eyes have been plucked out. He is breathing. The eyes were replaced with two polished black stones, and they're carved to resemble eyes. And the villagers are looking around and look and point, and they say, "Oh, that's the sigil of Jenny Greenteeth." And they all of a sudden start looking really, really nervous. And they're looking at this big, huge, foot-long bone pin that's driven into Rourke's chest. With a note there.
He's obviously dead?
No, he's not dead. He's breathing.
Okay. Okay. Our test will just sniff around and look check around the body and check around the area. He's doing lookout.
Is Jenny Greenteeth a known figure? I mean, is that someone we should have heard of? Or?
Well, you guys can do a history check.
Okay. History is a 1. What is a roll?
Never heard of her.
Nope. I've got a total of 3.
Sheriff?
Where's this? There's history. Oh, I'm sorry. That was religion.
Oop, okay. Just
Oh, I
re-roll,
can do
that's
that
fine.
right here.
11 history.
Okay, well, it's vaguely familiar, but the villagers kind of tell you that Jenny Greenteeth is like the Wicked Witch of the West, is basically what they're saying. And this pin that's sticking out of the chest is like a jet black, highly carved and polished pin. Getting a note there.
Well, he's just going to get worse with this thing sticking out of him. Plus, we need to probably need to look at this note. So I motion for somebody to get bandages or what have you ready. Firm hand on the guy's chest, one hand on the pin, and pull it free.
Okay, you're probably going to want somebody with some medicine skill to pull that free. So
I'm not trained in it, but I've got a +3 unless anybody else knows anything
We're
better.
both doing about the same thing.
Sheriff?
Don't know how to do it, but both have a +3.
I'm a +3 too.
All right, so just whoever wants to do it, just roll it.
I'll roll it. So a 17
Okay, well, you successfully remove it.
without killing him.
Yep, he is still unconscious. You pull this thing out and it makes this kind of sucking sound, and then you put your finger in the hole in the chest. He appears to have he's on death's door. It looks like he has failed one death save. Hint.
All right. Does anybody have a medicine kit or something like that? Actually, wait a minute. Do you want to see if you can apply it to him? I should probably buy one at some point.
He gets 10 plus his hit dice and hit points back.
Okay, so he recovers and immediately becomes screaming uncontrollably in pain and terror. And he's screaming, and the villagers are trying to calm him, and it's making this big racket. He's clearly much better. You see that the hole in his chest kind of seal up. Screaming, screams for about 10 minutes and passes out, but still very much alive. He's just overcome by the shock and terror. But now you have the pin. Who's got it?
Tristan.
I was gonna say I'm sure I wouldn't have tossed it into the mud, especially. But I'll take the note off of it.
Okay. Then there's a letter there. If you want to read it, it says, Cobble's Hill honors the long-standing truce between the people of Clan and the people of the Quivering Forest. We seek only to retrieve a lost friend who does not fully understand what his trespasses signify. And the townspeople say, yes, that's the note. We sent a note with them with 5 different languages so that we could, that they'd at least have an explanation of why they were there. And hopefully somebody intelligent would be able to read it and understand that we weren't trying to hurt anybody. It's now about 7:30 p.m. You guys
Does anyone have the healer's kit?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Let's get out of the rain and consider what our options are.
Okay, so you go back to the leaky bucket, and just as a refresher, you guys do have several options before you. It is darkening. The town is pretty stirred up. you've heard of 3 different possible avenues. One is you could go to Halvin's house to investigate there, see what's going on. The townspeople, tell you the way there. The drunk is pretty eager to have you go out to his farm, but he says we best not leave tonight. And very quickly, Hoop offers to put you guys up for the night, but he says the drunk will have to sleep in the kitchen. And no more ale for you. And then the third option was to go find Sorellis's cabin.
Well, so I'm human, so I can't see in the dark. What are the other 2 of you?
Human.
Okay. All right. So we are probably going to need to stay the night.
Okay.
Stay the night.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask them for so if they're going to give us a room, I'm going to take a sheet or something like that, take the money that they've offered us and this pin and stick it, wrap it all up, stick it under a mattress.
Okay.
So,
all right, it's done.
We can come back for it.
If it's something we're coming back for, I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna put the I'm in my bedroll. I'm carrying a hunter's trap. I'm gonna drop that, and
I just want to make sure we don't get robbed overnight. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I'll set the hunter's trap right over it.
Okay.
And Hoop notices that you guys are doing some preparation. He says, "Well,
My guy is not very straightforward. I mean, not very worldly wise on these things."
He says, "Well, gentlemen, you've no fear to worry tonight. I would, if I were you, take your possessions with you in the morning. We do have a fair number of travelers that come in and out." And he kind of looks at the pin, and you get the idea that he really doesn't want that thing in his house past, the one night that you're going to stay there. So the night passes. The sun rises, but it is still very much rainy and crappy and dark and these sorts of things. Wind is still blowing. What would you guys like to do?
Sorry, this is we're on to the morning, or
We're into the morning.
The night passed uneventfully.
all right. So
Guess we'll go to the farm.
Yeah,
the farm that this wait.
the drunk guy.
No. I was going to say let's. Why are we going to the farm? Do we really care about this guy's cows?
Well, he gave us 50 gold pieces.
Well, not
Yeah.
him.
No.
He
No,
hasn't given you a crop. He's just kind of asking you for help.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood there. I thought he was the one
And
who gave.
what's the general direction of the farm versus the where the woodcutter was?
Well, the
drunk guy's farm versus the woodcutter.
Well, it's all west of town through the gate. The drunk says that he lives about a mile away from where Halman moved in.
All right. Well, if we're heading out there anyways, that's fine. I just.
I guess we go to Howland's then.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll check everything out on the way.
Okay. So you guys are walking out of town there. The rain is just continues. I mean, it's just a downpour. It's not very often that it rains for so long. You get the feeling that like monkey business might be afoot here. It's real muddy. Big stretch of woods, all these sorts of things. And then there's a trail leading through the woods to the west of town. I'll just kind of show you a little general overview of the area. So Cobble's Hill is down next to the Sojanal River, and you guys walk for a ways, and you come up to a point, and Drunk says, if you follow the path a little further, I'm the next house to the north. I'm going to go home. If you guys would, please stop by. And you come upon, eventually follow a small trail up through the woods. And you end up at Halvin's place. And there's a little cabin. And beyond that, you see a barn. It's kind of tucked back into the woods, just to your east. So you're north and jogged a little bit east of the main trail there, right in this area.
Okay. Just the one building?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's two buildings. If you zoom out, you can hold Alt and move your middle mouse button.
Oh, okay.
And
Something in the back.
Yep. It's kind of a pretty setting, but it's a little bit tumble down.
Let's do just a quick once around the main building. Make sure that there's no obvious signs that there's people in the barn or anything like that, and then check out the house first.
Yep. And
check around the exterior first.
Okay, so you look around, and you're in a small hollow within a copse of trees, and the house has definitely seen better days, as evidenced by loose boards and shingles. There's some peeling whitewash, and a handful of stones have fallen out of a leaning chimney. A small barn around the back leans even more, and vines have grown up to cover quite a bit of it. The door to the house is open.
All right, I will stick my nose in the door and sniff around.
Okay, so you look. It's a pretty plain house. There's a bed. He's got there's like a little foot locker and a cupboard. A pretty simple table. Meager possessions, but everything appears to be more or less intact.
Sorry, go ahead.
We search it. Yep.
Okay. Is there any place in particular you want to search?
I'm kind of drenched through, so I'll go through. I'll go through his drawers, see if there's another cloak that I might be able to.
Okay. Well, you look through the cupboard and do a little perception check.
Okay. 14.
Yeah. And so you notice a small little panel in there, and you push open that panel. It kind of springs and moves to the side, and there's a small little ornate silver box in there with the likeness of a dragon head etched into the lid.
Oh, okay. Put that carefully on the top of the bureau, and rifle through for what I kind of was looking in here for was maybe another cloak, but once I'm done with that,
Yeah,
dry cloak.
There's really nothing that would be all that useful to you. It's pretty mothy.
Okay, highly disappointing, but this is interesting, and I motion you guys to it. The box with the. Now, is that the same stylized dragon that the cult seems to use, or is this just because they said he was a wood carver?
Have you encountered the dragon cult before? Cult of the dragon?
Once.
This seems pretty
Never.
similar.
Okay. All right. Well, neither of you are good with locks. Let's make sure that nothing's gonna
It's not
spring out
locked.
at me.
When you were
Okay.
moving it out, the lid kind of moved up and down a little bit. It's not.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I will pop it open, see what it contains.
Well, it's got the box itself looks valuable. Inside there's a little pouch with 15 gold pieces. There's a garnet, that looks to be somewhat valuable. And there's lots of little cryptic notes and sketches and maps and some sort of a diary.
All right. Let's spread this stuff out on the table and see if we can figure out what it's about.
Okay, so you spend about 10 minutes and reading through this stuff, and you're kind of able to figure out that Calvin was sent to plan to treat with the Fae of the Quivering Forest, specifically to convince the Fae to break their pact with the town and sit idle while the cult plunders it. He had been sending letters and gifts to the elves and the Fae of the forest, but to no avail. Either his messages were not being received or they were being ignored. After months of no progress in obtaining permission to enter the forest, he simply ran out of patience and decided to enter the forest on his own and visit them personally. He knew that Greenhall was the closest thing to an elvish settlement in that part of the forest, and he had a general idea of where he might find the hag, Jenny Greenteeth. He expressed disappointment with his familiar, who was apparently too scared to go into the forest, and he read that this familiar's name is Pip-Yap. And the last entry into his diary was about a month old.
Which would place it about the time when he decided to head in. Okay, that was a question just because I for some reason I thought it was only two 10 days.
Around a month old.
Okay, it lines up. That's all that's important. So, okay.
All right.
All right. What'd you guys find?
Our test will check around in the drawers. Since he sees drawers being opened, he'll pull them open and dump them out.
Yeah, there's not a
Not
whole
very
lot of,
subtle.
not a whole lot of value in there. Most of what is valuable seems to have come from that silver box.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to try to find him. Is that the plan?
Yeah, if he's got a familiar, that might be useful. Just because the familiars aren't really supposed to exist past when they're assuming it's a familiar in the traditional sense. If he's dead, it's dead, or it's dismissed, or what have you.
Except for not. I mean, it's unclear on what happens to a familiar when the caster dies, but.
All right, sorry, talking old school here then.
Yeah, that changed. Well, let's go look in the other building first, I guess.
Okay.
So you guys go in there, and it's a pretty disused barn. There is a big pile of hay towards the back of the barn that stinks. Really strong smelling. However, there's really not much in the barn except for you notice some clawed, bloody tracks kind of leading out the back of the barn through the woods.
Okay. Poke around in the pile of hay with the quarterstaff.
Nothing in there. Every time you poke it a little bit more, though, it really starts to stink.
Yeah, I put a handkerchief over my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess follow the bloody footprints.
What does it smell like?
Ass and mold and just filth.
It smells like the wrong end of the barn.
Right.
Okay, I've cleaned those out in my lifetime.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's like that. It's like some filthy, nasty animal has been living in there that hasn't really taken much care of itself.
Do the notes give any hint as to what kind of familiar this is?
Just mentions that it's a couple times that you read that damned imp.
I'm going to hope that that's just descriptive. Right. So somebody wanted to follow the tracks. Are we going to be able to follow the tracks in this weather?
Oh yeah. They're in the barn. So what happened was in the barn you can see the tracks. There was a little bit of open air between the barn and the woods, the direction it was going. But in the woods, the canopy is thick enough that it looks like you can follow these tracks. They haven't been completely washed away. Some of them look fairly fresh.
Okay, and this doesn't count as going into the Elvenwood. Okay.
You guys are not there yet.
Okay.
Okay, well I'll try and do the survival tracking.
All right. What'd you end up with? Oh, yeah,
25.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys see our test. There's a couple spots where you were walking along and it looked like the trail disappeared, but our test kept walking. One time even our test lost the trail and he made some circles, then made bigger circle, picked up the trail again, and it takes about an hour, but you're able to track it over to a pile of dead cows, and there's a drunk farmer there as well. Pretty nasty, disgusting scene. These cows have been butchered pretty bad. So, one of the more recently deceased cows shudders for a moment. There's something moving under its skin. Suddenly, the blade of a small knife parts the hide and opens the cow widthwise across its belly. A small, bloody, scaly creature with leathery wings spills out onto the ground. The foot-tall creature picks himself up off the ground and says, "Oh, hiya! I didn't see you there." He kind of does a little bow, this little teeny, bloody, covered in blood thing.
You must be Pit Cat.
He says, "That's me." And he takes a little morsel of meat and says, "You want some?" And it's like a crudely cut piece of some part of dead cow.
Our test will walk over and finally show people his teeth. They're red and sharpened. And eat some of the bloody meat.
And he says, it's good, isn't it?" And he's pretty happy for taking advantage of his offerings. And he takes another little piece, cuts it off, and kind of tosses it in a burlap sack there. And he says, "What are you guys doing?" And the drunk's like, I knew it was the Fae." He's like storming around and gets out his bottle and starts drinking. He sits down by his pile of dead cows.
We're looking for your partner.
Oh, he must mean Halvin. Well, he's a pretty swell guy, but he made a really dumb decision. That last one was ridiculous.
You mean heading into the wood?
He says, even I thought that was stupid.
Well, did he ask you to go with him and you refused, or did he just go off without you?
He said, of course he asked. and he told me, it's my duty to go with him. I told him to go fly a kite. Even an imp knows not to mess with a hag. He's like, geez, that guy's dumb. Like that. He says, plus I've got work to do here. And he's like pointing at the cows. He's clearly gorging himself. His belly is huge. He tries to flap his wings and take off, but he like sinks back to the ground because he's been eating for days. He says, these cows probably deserve it. He says, I do miss him quite a bit. It's kind of fun to have around.
So I'm a little uncertain what to do with him.
So what kind of hag is it? Do you know?
He says, one hag, another hag. Who the hag knows?
Green hag.
What's that? Hag is a hag.
Ginny green hag.
Green teeth. Dummy.
Green teeth.
He's like laughing at you.
Hag Ginny green teeth.
And he like falls over and starts. Apparently he said something funny. What would you guys like to do?
I guess I want to go find Jenny Greenteeth.
Tip Yap says, well, best of luck with that one.
The question is, can we leave this guy running around?
Like, never mind me. I'm just eating some cows, waiting for my master to come back.
Who killed the cows?
He says, well, who do you think? He smiles. He says, they deserved it. They were mooing constantly. Stupid beasts.
So
the drunk passes
maybe
out.
you should come with us.
He kind of looks at you like you're crazy. If you want, you can try a persuasion check.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen.
Try it.
We can try. Yeah, persuasion. Okay. Yeah, no, I couldn't have done much worse.
Anybody else?
I can get a 0. I see.
Oh,
Nope.
well, he hesitates briefly and says, what the heck? Just make sure you bring plenty of food along. And he loads his sack and says, I'll come. I want to see him anyway. Old fool.
All right. So that is 2 down, I guess. We should probably go see the half elf.
Okay. Well, you had some pretty good directions to get to.
Okay, I'll take some of that raw meat along.
Okay.
Yeah, you're able to load up quite a bit. You know, basically as much as you could carry. There's 3 dead cows there. You of course know the finer pieces. You get the tenderloins. You also separate out a couple back straps. Recently you've grown fond of brisket, but it takes a bit slower cook to get that just like you like it. But you know, hey, maybe you'll have time. You never know.
And I will drop a piece of gold on the drunken farmer's chest.
Okay, just deduct that from your adventuring totals. Okay, so you guys depart the farm. You know, it's getting on into late morning, almost noon, and you know, you go 3 hours or so from this area, and just on the edge of what you would understand to be the quivering forest proper. So I'll show you on a little bit bigger map. So just on the edge of what you would consider to be the quivering forest proper, you see a trail leading up into the forest, and this is about where they told you to look for the takeoff to Sorellis' house.
All right. Barring better directions, I guess we'll just fumble around until we find it.
So you follow the trail. It goes about a mile. The woods here are different. They seem. I'm going to have to do something here for you. There's our test. Tristan, I wasn't expecting you for some reason. My player list changed, so your token is gonna be this AGA, whatever the hell it is.
Okay, sounds good.
So you guys follow a narrow, twisting path, and it's about a mile. While you're in the forest, it does rain, but there's a bit of a canopy overhead, so that the raindrops don't so much hit you anymore, and it's more windy. And the path opens up into a little glade, and there's a picturesque little babbling stream tumbling past a cabin built of natural timbers, and has a pretty nice looking roof on it. This looks very nice building, like a elvish craftsmanship, almost to that standard. It's more like half standards.
And I think we're in the right place.
You kind of poke around discreetly, and you see there's a nice little garden in the back, launched over by a scarecrow. There's an elf that kind of comes out and greets you. It says, "Greetings, I'm Sorellis." And he says, "I take it that they haven't returned yet." And you can hear a note of concern in her voice.
One has, though not in the manner that I think anybody had anticipated.
Well, let's come inside out of the weather and have some tea and talk about it. And Becky's going to sit down at a table inside the house.
Okay, I do.
Okay, so you guys can move your tokens with the little arrow thing, little arrow tool. Yep. All right, and she says, "I've just finished a batch of hard cider. It's my life's work." You guys kind of settle down, and she begins relating a tale. She says, 10 days ago, the residents of Cobble's Hill asked that I lead a small group into the quivering forest to treat with the elves of Green. I told them the elves were the least of my concern, but they didn't want to listen to me. I told them not to go in there because the Fae of the forest typically react pretty unfavorably to intruders. I gave them some equipment more suitable to their adventure. They came basically with rakes and shovels, and I gave them each a sword, a good cloak, 10 days worth of rations, and I warned them again that this would not result in anything but tragedy. And you can see that she's saddened by the encounter, and she's kind of, every once in a while you see her kind of cast a nervous glance towards the imp, and she gave the imp a thing of the cider, and he just downed it and passed out on the floor real quick. He says, I wonder what became of the villagers?
So one of them was returned to town this morning? Oh, last night.
That's night.
He came with this pinned to his chest, and I put the pin on the table.
And she looks at it, and she steps back, and she says, "Oh my God! Oh, such a den of malevolent evil." And she says, "Put that evil thing away." Clearly recognizes it.
Okay.
I also tell her about the eyes thing that is going on.
She says, "Well, I more or less know what happened then. My guess is that the hag has the villagers and made use of them. I really don't want to talk about it anymore." And she looks pretty darn broken up over the fact that the villagers went in and were all killed.
Well, I guess we need to go take care of the hag and then go on and negotiate with the elves. Is that the plan?
She says, "Well, if I were you, I wouldn't enter that forest. You saw what happened to the villagers."
Yeah, well, if we don't, then the consequences are likely that the Cult of the Dragon agent that went into the wood may be able to negotiate with Jenny Greentooth.
And now she's looking even more concerned. And in the back of your minds, you remember that it would be a very wise thing to enlist her help.
Yeah, so does she have anything that can help us in this process?
You're on good terms with the elves.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So I know you didn't want to go the villagers, but this seems to be escalating.
Make a persuasion check at disadvantage. All three of you can do it. You're making an argument that she accompanies you, basically.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want her to accompany me if she doesn't want to, but if she has some help that she could offer, that would be great.
No, I got a 10.
Let's see.
Okay. Well, it's your check.
7 and 10.
Yeah. Well, the two tens were good enough to persuade her to come along potentially. She does not have any more aid to offer you other than she mentions that she can suggest good campsites and perhaps make your negotiations with the elves and the hag a little bit easier. And just then, you hear a big bang on the door, a very loud bang. The whole cabin seems to shudder. And a heartbeat later, the door bursts from its hinges, falling flat on the door. And there's a man-sized pile of straw on the door. And
The scarecrow.
it stands up. And what I need you guys to do is roll initiative.
Okay, what do we do here?
So just get
12, that's a 15.
Cherith, what's your actual character class?
Sheriff is AFK here.
Okay, I'm gonna go to AFK just a second too.
Okay.
What happened?
So you, there was a loud bang. The door broke down, and there was a scarecrow laying on top of the door that stood up, and you rolled initiative.
Yeah, I got that.
Yep. Okay, so here we go. The first to act, as soon as our test gets back, will be Tristan. Or actually, our test.
All right.
Our test, you're up.
Okay. Let's see. I will. That's not going to be any good. I will look around. It's a straw figure.
Yep, and it's clearly meaning to attack you.
I will look around for a fire source.
There is a fire source. She does have a small fire burning in the thing there.
I will look for the unburned end of a burning stick and pick it up and.
Okay.
Let's see. Roll it. That's.
You'd have to roll a D20. That would count as
Okay. Improvised club.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Where's my? Well, my attack is a 10, so.
You whiff it. Whiff right by him.
Whoops, sorry.
You whiff right by him. Next to act is Tristan.
All right. I am going to.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to move.
Yeah, I had to pick that up and move over here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was here.
Yep.
That's the fire right there.
Yeah, 5.
Fire's right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
You're that's melee range.
Okay. So I will then.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna thump into this thing. Not sure I'm gonna do great damage against it with bludgeoning, but hey, everything's something. All right. So quarterstaff. A 21.
That's a hit.
Okay. 4.
Slams into it. Some stuff kind of flies around.
All right, for 8 points of bludgeoning, and then I will spend a key point to do a pair to do flurry of blows.
Okay.
The first one is a 16.
That's a hit.
Okay. It will do 5 points of bludgeoning, and he needs to make a dexterity
Dex
saving
save.
throw. Yep.
Yep.
Against a 13 or be knocked prone.
Fails and is knocked
Right.
prone.
All right, so my second flurry of blows attack gets advantage, which is good. So I rolled a 1 and a 17, so that's a 22 for 7 points of bludgeoning.
Okay. So your total damage coming at him is 13 plus 7 or 21.
Okay.
It does not seem to be as effective as you thought it.
Yeah, I was afraid of that,
You know,
but
the straw kind of bends and moves around, but it hurt him. But you know, you saw some of the straw break, but a lot of it just kind of flexed out of the way.
Yep. And then I will use my mobility feat to back out.
Okay. So the scarecrow stands up and looks at our test and takes its claws. It's got these kind of claw hands and attacks twice. And both of them kind of whip past you. Seems to be more concerned about the fact that you have a fire. And then, just then, you hear a smashing, breaking window, and in through the north window pops some sort of a creature. It looks like it was made out of sticks, kind of in the shape of a human. And then another one blasts through the other window. Right
If it's
next
made
to,
of bricks.
Sorellis there. And then you hear another crash in the other room as well. And the one standing by our test kind of has this nasty looking claw thing and swings it towards you for a 17. What's your AC?
16.
Okay, so that is a hit, and you take 6 points of piercing damage from that. The needle blight standing next to Sorellis attacks and appears to miss her. Next up is Shuris.
The scarecrow's gone already, right?
No, he's standing
No.
right there.
No, I mean he attacked. Right? He attacked our.
He attacked already.
Okay, so I'm going to have my owl familiar swoop down and distract the scarecrow.
Uh-huh. What would the effects of that be to him?
Huh?
What would the effects be if he was distracted?
It'll give me advantage on my next attack against him.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm going to throw a net on him.
Okay.
But I miss.
Yeah, it slams into the door by him.
And I don't think there's anyone who's injured, so I'm done.
I am.
Oh, how injured are you?
I have taken 6 points, and I am first level.
Okay. You're 6 points out of how many?
6 out of 9.
Okay. Well, you get your 6. I'll cast healing word on you.
Don't worry about it until I'm down.
Okay.
You
Then
may
I'm
need
done.
it somewhere else.
I'm done.
Okay. So next to act is our test. You've got some twigs like sticking out of your neck where this thing hit you.
Okay.
Or not
I'm
not
asked.
our. Wait a minute.
Just
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I will swing the burning club again at the scarecrow.
Okay.
Total miss.
What'd you roll?
4.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm just trying to scare it with the flames.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, that I had to move the twig thing that was standing next to you. Next to act is Tristan.
All right. I'm gonna drop the quarterstaff and draw the short sword.
Okay.
And I'm gonna attack this blight thing next to us.
Yep.
Okay. Short sword does crit.
Okay.
So that's a D6. Oops, that's not a D6. So 5 and 3 is 8.
Okay.
And then I will spend another key point to do flurry of blows again.
Okay.
An 18 plus 5 should hit
Yep.
for 6 points of bludgeoning damage, and
Okay.
it will need to make a dex save against a 13.
Well, it would if it was still alive.
Okay. And I have, I can move in between the flurry of blows, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to move 10 to get to here, take the last flurry of blows at the, and I don't think an 11's going to hit.
It hits. Just.
Oh, it hits. Awesome. That'll be 6 points of bludgeoning damage, and it needs to make a strength check.
Okay. Roll a 7.
Move it
is
back.
knocked back. Yeah, it is knocked back 15 feet.
Okay. Which direction?
Out the door.
Okay. 5, 10, 15.
Okay.
Now it's not moving, but am I able to take an attack of opportunity as it gets knocked
No.
back?
Nah.
Not
No.
Ah, too bad.
Yeah. You tried. It was valiant. Okay. Next act is the scarecrow.
Oh, that's right. It goes right after me. Okay.
And it runs back into the room. And the first person it sees, of course, is our test. And it swings its 2 grassy hands at you. And let's see, your AC was
16.
so one of them hit, unfortunately, and I'm going to roll this damage so that hopefully you won't get killed. I won't use the average here.
I will get killed.
Actually, it was seven points you took.
Yep, I am down to nothing.
Okay, so you're on the ground. So next turn you'll be making some death saves, unless something else happens. And next act would be Shuras.
Did the twig blight go? I thought he went before me.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, the
Or the
twig
one
blight.
that was-
The twig blight is engaged in combat with Sorellis, and Sorellis appears to be getting the upper hand. You hear some banging and crashing, and then into the other door pops another one of these things, right up behind Shuras, and attacks you with some claws, or tries to, and misses. Pretty clumsy fella. And now it's Shuras' turn.
Okay, so I'm going to provoke from the twig blight as I step over here.
Okay. He flings a little bit and misses again.
Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with my familiar against the scarecrow.
Okay.
Scarecrow's down.
No.
No, he's up.
Oh, no? Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, that's right. He's the one that killed me. The blight's down.
Does a 19 hit the scarecrow?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And that was from a firebolt, by the way.
Ooh. Okay.
For 6 points of fire damage.
Yeah, and it appears to be amazingly effective. It kind of catches on fire and it kind of pats itself out a little bit. But it appears to be very much damaged by that.
Well, that's good.
Anything else?
And then I'll healing word on our test there.
Okay.
You get back 8 hit points. Yes.
All right. Very effective. Much more effective than if it had been done last time.
Yep. So this happens. Our test pops up, and as luck would have it, it is our test's turn, and you see this scarecrow that just put you down
Scoop up
in front of you.
that burning club and swing again.
Okay.
I got an 18.
That's a hit. So you're going to do bludgeoning damage, but I'm going to have you add a D6. fire
Okay,
damage
club
to
is
that.
die 4.
Yep.
Okay, 2 on bludgeoning
Uh-huh.
and a 1 on the fire.
Okay. So you at least hit him. Catches on fire briefly. It's still up, though, sadly. But he's pretty singed looking. Next to act is Tristan.
All right. I'm not going to be able to squeeze through there without getting an attack of opportunity, so I will
Get the
stop
twig
here.
blight right there.
Yeah, I will hit the twig first.
Okay.
22 to hit.
Hit.
17 on the die. Nice. 9 points of piercing.
Yep.
Still up?
Yep.
Okay, and I will spend my last key point to get flurry of blows.
Okay.
First one is probably going to miss with a 10.
Yeah, that's a miss.
Okay. And then the second one is a 16.
It's a hit.
Okay. For 7 points of bludgeoning.
And it expires.
Okay. And that's all I can do this round.
Okay. The next thing you see is the needle bite. Sorellis continued to battle, and she seems to have mostly the upper hand. Next to act is Sheris.
Okay.
Take him out.
My owl will come down and harass him again to give me advantage, and I'll firebolt him
Okay, it's a hit,
for 3 fire.
and it really singes him. He's mostly crispy, but still up.
And then I'll move up next to him.
Okay.
No, I'll move up next to him. Okay.
And then the Scarecrow forgot to act. He was distracted, so he swings on Artest real quick. For an 11, which misses, and a hit. And I'll roll the damage here, so hopefully you get killed. So, total of 5.
Okay. Down to 3.
Okay. We're at the top of
Again.
the initiative order, and it would be Artest's turn.
Okay. He is a part of a pack, so he's gonna keep on trying to swing away. A 12 to hit.
Let's see. How does that do against him? Yes, that's a hit.
Okay. 4 bludgeoning and 3 fire.
Okay, and the Scarecrow expires. And just at that same time, Sorellis vanquishes the Twig Blight. And you are out of initiative. So that was quite an epic battle. Let me just make a note here of what you killed. So you're pretty beat up. Sorellis is a little bit disconcerted about her Scarecrow coming to life and seemingly some evil twig blights weaving themselves out of the forest and attacking, and she senses evil magic at work. She suggests that you guys rest up if you need to, but thinks that you better think about getting a move on, because it's not going to get better if we stay here.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need to? Does she need to collect anything? Should we take a short rest while she prepares herself?
Yeah, she says
We
I'll
can-
need about an hour to get ready.
Okay, we will take a short rest. Let's see.
Okay, and while you guys figure that out, I'm gonna go make a quick sandwich for my son. I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
Okay.
Hey, all right. And I
We'll
get
all
my.
take a short rest, a little bio break, a couple minutes.
All right. I'm going to spin my hit die.
No, don't spend your hit die.
I have to.
Why do you have to?
I'm down to 3 hit points again.
Okay, yeah, I will heal you a minimum of 6 hit points.
Oh, okay. All right.
When the healers get charged.
Okay, that will be much better. Okay, Tristan. You know my character's name is Artest, but you know as a monk, the monks called him OUR space TEST. He was a test of the monk's will to turn him into a human from a wolf, basically, because he was raised by wolves. So he's going to be eating raw meat, and if he kills something, he's going to eat some of it. Except these, twig blights and scarecrows. But if he goes ahead, if he had killed that cow, he would have ripped its heart out and eaten some of it, the better parts, and not just packed his pack full of bloody meat, because that's what he was raised on. Guys, remember, stay better in character. I'm talking to nobody. Okay, 11:30. More snack.
Sorry, slightly longer than 30 seconds. Sorry, I was on mute. I'm back if people were waiting on me.
And I'm back as well. I think we're
all back.
okay. So you guys take your short rest and get the advantages of it. And while Sorellis is packing, the imp is kind of making a nuisance of himself. And she says, "Just so you know, I advise you not to trust that imp. He can come if he wants, but keep a sharp eye on him." And the imp says, "Well, I resemble that comment." And he's digging into his bag for a little more meat. So,
Tristan, do you want to?
Do I want to what?
Do you want to keep the imp around?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he might be a good, since we're essentially going to rescue his master, he may want to let us know when he's in contact with his master.
Okay. Okay, so everything is ready, and you depart the house. It's late afternoon. Inside the forest, it's kind of it's a little bit eerie, and leading the way, of course, is Sorellis, very familiar with the quivering forest, and she kind of heads off into the woods, following a pretty faint trail. And the weird thing about the forest is this is different than just about any other forest you've ever been in. The floor of the forest is covered by about 6 inches of clinging fog, and not enough to obscure things, but it's there. There's just ever-present fog. During the first few miles of your trip, you see that at some point this area was logged. You get beyond about 5 miles and you're into primary forest, meaning this area hasn't been logged before, and the trees are huge and old, and it's very dimly lit because it's a very dense forest with big, huge, tall trees that completely block out the sky. Took a couple hours to walk there, and at about midday, well, a little past midday now, you're probably about 4 o'clock. You notice that it's pretty quiet in the forest, except every once in a while you'll hear something kind of beyond your vision moving around, and you pass under a limb that is a little lower to the floor, and there's a squirrel up there, and the squirrel's kind of angrily chatting at you, and you walk by and it like tosses a nut at you, and bounces harmlessly off of your heel, and you walk a little bit further along.
Not hunting squirrels.
You walk a little bit further along, get somewhat further, it's starting to get dark, and a whole bunch of crows fly overhead and start swooping down on the party. And Sheriff, one of the crows, you feel quite confident, purposefully aimed bird poop at your face, and it splatters on your face a little bit, and gets a little bit on your armor. Curiously, you're walking along, it's getting darker, and the wind just suddenly stops. There's no wind, there's no nothing. And she's leading you along, and Sorellis says, "Be quiet, I think I hear something." And just very faintly, you hear... And
How is that faint?
well, it was relatively faint. It was loud to you because it's so quiet in the forest, so quiet that you can hear your heart beating.
Awesome.
And she says a mile further there's a good campsite. We've got to stop, and it's really starting to get dark. And just before you stop, you hear something else. So you heard, something that sounded like crying and things like that.
Is it coming in the direction from the direction we're headed?
It's just kind of all around you. The forest is kind of alive with this sort of a sound. And Sorellis kind of looks at you guys and says, there are strange things in these woods. Who knows what that was? There's been a lot of tragedy in the woods. Could be a ghost. We should stop for the night. We should figure out who's gonna guard at what time. We definitely will need to set a guard.
There are 5 of us, is that right?
4.
Yeah.
We can't count on the imp as a guard.
Yeah, she says absolutely. No way is that imp gonna stand guard even for a second.
Yeah, I'm going to ring our campsite with an alarm spell.
Okay.
So that we're in the middle of them.
Okay. And who's
you
first, second?
can explain to our test what that does, since I know he doesn't. Okay, I will. Who wants first?
I'm fine with any of the watches. I'm not especially good at any of them. I'm not especially poor at any of them, considering that we're going to need fire to see.
The wind picks up a bit. You establish the order. I'm just going to assume that at some point during the night, somebody is always watching.
Okay.
And wind picks up again. And, on the first watch, some kind of creepy noises, but nothing came into the camp that you noticed. Second watch comes by and
Well, these are not designed to make me feel comfortable.
right, and every once in a while you're hearing some creepy sounds. You're keeping a pretty close watch on the fire, making sure everything is okay. Third watch comes by and the wind just really picks up. Really starts getting crazy windy. And this is in the middle of the night. And you hear just kind of all night, more or less tormented by these noises. And eventually it starts getting lighter, and you kind of believe that the day seems to be coming on, and everybody wakes up. And Shurus, when you wake up, you notice that there's a crown of flowers on your head. No idea how it got there. Our test, when you wake up, you check your pack and it's just filled to the brim with all sorts of berries and things. And Tristan, you notice in your pocket 2 very tiny, ornately carved bone dice. Just beautifully carved bone dice in your pocket.
Wow.
And the imp wakes up and he's got a really tiny green hat with a yellow felt brim on his head. It's like, how'd that get here?
Okay.
All right. Sniff around these berries, see if they're anything I recognize from survival. Not have a good nature.
They're very good berries. Sort of a raspberry or something like that.
Ah.
Okay, so Sorella says, it's best to have a breakfast and get on. I don't have a great explanation for all this monkey business, bedazzling with flowers and all these sorts of things. The woods can be strange. There are pixies. It could be anything like that. But obviously we were not harmed, so let's continue on with our mission. And she rouses you, and the day starts again. The wind just howls overhead.
Okay. Day old meat.
Yep.
Yep.
You eat a little bit of breakfast on the way.
I will also, as I'm walking, I have no idea if this is accurate or not, but Tristan heard a folktale a while back that you're never supposed to accept a gift from the Fae without exchanging something in return. So as I'm walking, I will use my wood carver's tools to carve something, a small icon, and leave it behind when it's finished.
Okay.
So.
And you continue on. All of this happens, and again, you're hearing these weird once in a while, and the squirrels and the crows kind of harass you throughout the day, but nothing particularly bad happens except that the wind is just howling. There's a storm raging overhead, but only a few drops come through and hit the ground. And our test, late in the day, it gets to be almost time for night. You see the tracks of some very large cat on the trail. And looking around a little closer, it's in a part where it's a little bit sandy, and there are all sorts of weathered bones around, and the tracks of the cat kind of moving in and out of the area. It doesn't particularly lead in one direction, just lots and lots of tracks with no discernible direction of travel, but lots of...
I will growl, sniff around, and point the tracks out to the others.
Okay. And the others take note, and Sorella says, we'd best get a move on. This looks like a lair of some sort. Something is eating stuff or killing stuff and bringing it back here to eat, so let's move along.
Check out the bone pile, see if there's anything in the... Is this its lair? Are the bones there, or...
Well, they're scattered around kind of this little sandy patch that was beside the trail. Just various bones, leg bones,
okay.
Pelvis here, a piece of a skull there. It doesn't look like a lair, it just looks like a place that something has been dragging some kills every once in a while.
Like how big?
The cat tracks are about this big, about like a pie plate.
Okay.
Okay, so go along, and again,
Okay.
And it gets to be dark enough where Sorellis wants to stop. He says, we're sort of near the some hills. We have maybe a day, maybe a little longer until we get to Greenhall. But this is a good place to camp. There's water nearby. Relatively, I can see the approaches to this. We're on high ground. I think this is pretty safe, so let's stop here. And you stop, and she again suggests that you assign a watch order, leaving the imp out of it. And we'll just go Sheris, Artest, Tristan, and the half-elf. And you settle in. The first watch goes by more or less uneventfully, except for at one point. Like that. And the second watch comes by, and Artest, Sheris is sleeping next to the fire, and you see Sheris float up off the ground, up to about 5 feet in the air. All kinds of
I will shout out in surprise and look around.
And Sheris, you wake up and you're about 5 feet off the ground, and he seems to be floating off into the woods, Artest, and Tristan is woken by this as well.
Try and grab a hold of him.
Okay, so just as you're reaching him, he's just on the edge of the clearing. He just drops out of the sky and lands on the ground. He's unhurt, but shaken up. And the remainder of your watch goes by uneventfully, but the half-elf says, Artest, you best keep a better watch next time. The remaining watches go by more or less uneventfully. Once in a while, you hear a growling at one point in the night, but nothing comes in. Next morning, you wake up, and Artest, you were awoken because all of a sudden there were thousands of ants all over you, stinging you, and you feel kind of sticky, and you look, and your pack and your clothes and your skin and everything have been coated with honey, and ants are yeah. Tristan,
well, I will eat ants and honey.
And Tristan, you look over, and when you open your eyes, there's a little stick figure made of like little woven sticks and things that bears a pretty strong resemblance to you, but there's like blood on it and all these sorts of things.
Huh.
And Sheris, when you went to put your boots on, there were nettles in your boots, stinging nettles, and your feet are all itchy and things like this. And Zorelis goes to stand up and take a step, and her boots have been tied together. She says, this has to be the work of pixies.
So I'm going to completely misinterpret the intent of this gift, and I'm going to assume that it was a gesture of friendship, and I'm going to start carving another one for them.
And I'll leave them. I'll leave some berries and a piece of 2-day-old meat.
Okay. Well, as you're doing this,
And feed the imp some more meat.
There's some skittering. You hear some flapping wings and things like this, and some giggling and things like that. But you don't see anything, but you definitely hear some things. Sorella says, perhaps one of you should politely ask for them to reveal themselves. typically pixies are not evil, and perhaps we can learn something from them. And to do that,
All right.
you can make a persuasion check at advantage because he left gifts.
Okay. Skills. All right. Persuasion.
So our test, this happens, and there's a little glowing thing about this tall, about 6 inches tall, that's sparkling and glowing and flying that reveals itself in front of you, and starts. What languages do you speak?
Elvish,
Okay.
Goblin, and Common.
She says, "Greetings, our test. We're glad that you liked our tricks."
Thank you for the berries.
She says, I thought you'd like those. Those are our favorite. You guys are so nice. The last group that came through here were unappreciative of our tricks. And the elves at Greenhall, they don't like our tricks either. They don't appreciate it, so we don't really go there much. What brings you to the forest?
We're looking for a member of the pack from Cable's Hill.
Well, about a month ago, there was a very unkind man in the forest, and he didn't like our tricks either. We told the elves about him, and a group of them came to investigate. And that unkind man used some sort of magic on them, and they all died.
The elves all died?
Yep. And 10 days ago, a whole group of men came into the forest. One of us spoke to them, and they said they were looking for Halvin. I don't know what a Halvin is, but what they were describing sort of sounded like that first guy who killed all the elves.
I will point to the imp and ask the pixie, have you seen? Was this with the unkind man?
No, we've not seen his kind around here before. Those other men went up to Greenhall, and now a whole bunch of pixies come out, and they all start talking over each other. And basically, what you can tell from them is that one of the men went up to Greenhall, not the unkind man, but the other men. The elves there drove them away with arrows, and one of those guys died. Lots of stuff has been going on. Lots of visitors, pretty excited about it. Anything else we can help you with, they ask.
More ants with honey,
They say,
but not so live.
They say, well, if there's nothing else...
Well, do they know of any obstacles between us and that we should be aware of?
The cat and the hag.
Okay, so
Right.
they say, yeah, there are all sorts of cats about. Some of the cats are mean. Some of the cats more or less, leave the pixies alone. Every once in a while, there's one particular big cat with arms on its back will eat a pixie. And they kind of quiver at the thought. And when you mention the hag, they all kind of disappear and then kind of slowly fade back. And they say that that old woman eats pixies every now and again, and she decorates her cottage with our wings. Evil.
Well, if we were to eliminate those threats to the pixies, what would the gratitude of the pixies entail?
Say that again?
If we could eliminate those problems for the pixies, those things that are bad for the pixies, would there be any sort of boon
It would be a gift for the Pixies. They might give us a gift back.
Yeah.
They say, well, we can tell you how to get to that hag's house. We don't have much to give you except what the forest offers freely.
Well, I'm unfamiliar with the forest, so I don't even know what the forest offers freely.
She says, every morning we'll make sure you have food and we'll stop tying your shoes.
Okay.
And we'll follow along, and we like watching you guys. And Sorellis looks around, and she's apparently had interactions with Pixies before, and she more or less shrugs her shoulders and says, well, at any rate, we got to get moving. Enough talking with Pixies. And you break camp. The Pixies bid you farewell. The little trinkets that you've left, they were appreciative of. And they load you up with berries and such. And you make your way on the trail after about an hour. You smell it before you see it. And change the map for a sec here. I need to change, get rid of a couple tokens here. So your tokens are at the bottom of the screen here. And you smell it before you see it. Rounding a bend in the path, you find the body of a male human lying face down in the dirt with a half a dozen arrows embedded in his back. As you approach, a cloud of black flies takes flight, filling the air with the drone of their wings. His clothes were simple and homespun, and he has no weapons. He still holds a strung short bow, however, and a shabby long sword. Really garbage, not hardly even weapons. And he wears a satchel slung over his shoulder. The flap is buckled closed.
I will check around. I've got a perception roll of 20. And I will check around and not the body, just around.
Okay. There are some, while you're looking around, there are some, you do see the paw print of one very large cat.
I will point this out.
Okay. And so everybody is alert that there's some sort of a big, huge cat around here. What else would you like to do?
After I've checked around, make sure it's sort of secure, I will start checking the body, sniff around the body.
Okay. Well, you look at it. You're pretty sure that it's been dead a couple weeks. There are arrows in there.
No good meat here. No good meat.
There are arrows in there, and Sorella says, well, these are arrows from the elves of Green Hall. I recognize them. And she points out a pattern in the feathers that they are used to using.
How many arrows are there?
There's about 4 in
I'll hand one to each of the members of that are with us. Not one to the imp, though.
Yeah, the imp immediately goes over and whips out a small folding knife and makes like this arm.
I will smile at the imp with my sharpened teeth and shake my head no.
He looks disappointed. He's more or less able to fly at this point. He's not quite as full as he has been. So, feeling pretty, feeling pretty hungry at this point. At any rate,
I'll get him some more of the. This is what now? It's 4-day-old meat, so it's pretty well rotten in the pack.
Yeah. Well,
So we're giving out the last of the meat from the cow.
Okay. So he gobbles it up, and you guys hear a growling coming from the woods. The reason you heard it is you were paying attention and you knew there was a big cat in the area. And out of the woods pops an enormous cat. One pops on top of the corpse, and the other one pops up behind Sheriff. And I need you to roll initiative.
Okay. We're adding 3, a total of 12.
Okay.
I go on a 5.
Okay. And
Me.
and 7.
Oh, I got both flat-footed.
Okay, let's see.
Hold on just a sec here. I gotta.
Get a bag here.
And the elf is in here too. Actually, she's. I gotta put her in though. Let's see. She's gonna help you. Okay. So the elf is up just north of the body. As luck would have it, this very large cat on the north here is first to act, and wheels on our test.
All right.
And let me see what happens to you. You might not like this. So, it's got these tentacles on its back. And
Yes.
it's going to swing these tentacles at you, 2 of them. And one of them was a 24, and the other one was a 18.
They both hit.
Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and roll these as individual rolls, and hopefully you'll end up under the average damage here. So these tentacles sink into your flesh, and you're bludgeoned for 5 points of damage. And unfortunately, there are little claws on these things, and you took an additional 5 points of damage on top of that piercing. So you took bludgeoning damage and piercing damage.
He is down.
Okay. And lets out a roar of delight at your falling. Yep. Okay. So the next thing, next person to act is the elf, and the elf immediately engages the displacer beast in combat. Displacer beast turns its back on the party and seems to be engaging elf. Next thing that happens is the displacer beast down here by Sheriff swings its big tentacles on its back. 2 of them. One of them hit, one of them missed.
What did it hit with?
One of them hit you with a tentacle, and it was
No,
a
what did it-
24.
Wait.
Yes, 24 to hit.
Okay.
And let's see, the damage I'm going to roll, I guess you guys are going to get hosed if I don't. So you took 5 bludgeoning damage and 5 piercing damage from that.
Okay.
And Next to act is our test. Make a death save.
Okay, where's my...
Just a D20. That's all you need.
Nope. Double fail.
Okay, so clearly our test is going to need some help this turn. I don't want one of my players to die. I really don't. Next to act is going to be, let's see, Sheriff's.
Okay, so I'm going to. Alright, so I'm going to bring my owl down to harass the displacer beast in front of me,
Okay.
and then I'll attack him with my quarterstaff.
Yeah, and now so this is, if you were just attacking without the owl, these displacer beasts have displacement, which means that they look like they're in one place, but they're actually in another, so you attack with disadvantage, but because you've added advantage, you're essentially just making a straight roll on displacer beast. And that's a hit.
Okay, for 7 bludgeoning.
Okay. The thing lets out a roar of pain.
Then I'll heal our test for 10 points of damage.
Okay.
Popping down, up and down like a...
Yeah. So our test pops up. Are you gonna do anything else?
That's it. An action and bonus action. That's it for me.
Okay. Next to act is Tristan.
All right. I'm gonna head to the one on the north, so I can flank to it. See whether or not we can take one of them down as quickly as possible.
Okay, how do I clear the...
Oh, I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Quarterstaff. Am I at disadvantage?
Yes, because it's displacement.
Okay.
That's what I was going to try to do a help action. Instead, I did a die action.
I rolled a 17 and a 13, so the low will be 18.
The low is 18, which is still a hit.
Okay. For 6 points of bludgeoning damage, and not gonna. I'll spend a key point. Is the elf shooting a bow or using swords?
2 swords.
Okay, so I will use key point to get flurry of blows. Still at disadvantage?
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
No. Actually, no. Where it's a straight roll because until the end of that thing's next turn, the displacement is turned off. And hit.
Oh, okay.
Same.
All right.
thing.
All right.
All right, so that will be a 18 to hit.
Hit.
Okay, so 4 points of bludgeoning damage, and it needs to make a dex save against a 13.
Okay. It fails the dex save.
All right, so it's prone, and I get advantage on this attack.
Okay.
Crit.
Okay.
For 9 points of bludgeoning damage,
Okay.
and it cannot take reactions until the end of my next turn.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and that I will back off.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So
That's all for me.
next to act is the displacer beast on the north, and attempts to take a chomp out of the elf, but misses, and then turns tail and runs off into the woods, provoking an opportunity attack from both the elf and our test. Elf hits.
A 15.
That hits.
Okay, and that is with the quarterstaff, 1d6. And since it's a monk weapon, add dex. 7 points of damage.
Okay. And it disappears into the forest, having been vanquished. You hear it lumbering off. Next to act is the Southern Displacer Beast, and it decides it's going to swing on our test. Miss with the tentacles. Next to act is, or it actually swung on Sheris. Next to act is our test.
Okay, from I'm still drawing. Okay, let's see. All right, move out a little, and within 30 feet, within 20 feet, and throw a dart.
Yeah, each of those squares is 5. So.
Okay, so right here.
Yep.
All right, throw a dart.
All right.
At a +5. That is a 13.
Hit. Just.
Okay. Give me a 4. Die 4 plus 3 is 5 damage.
Okay. Sticks in there and quivers a little bit.
I'm gonna lose a dart.
Yep. Next to act is Sheris.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing again. I'll use my owl to aid my attack, and then.
And you would actually get advantage this time.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Because it's not able to displace.
My quarterstaff. There's my quarterstaff. So a 16
Hit.
for 4 bludgeoning.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll cast Healing Word on myself.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done.
And next to act is Tristan.
All right. So he hit it. Does that mean it's not blinking? Or?
Yeah, it's not blinking.
All right. So I'll move in here. That's 5 or 10, either way.
5 is all.
All right. Hit it with the quarterstaff. Well, at 13.
Yep.
Okay. For 10 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do a key point for this, but I will do a second martial arts attack. An 11.
You whip a kick past its
Okay.
attack. This
All right.
With airball.
All right, and then I'll back out.
Okay. So this thing growls and rears up and attempts to move past Sheris towards our test and provokes an opportunity attack from Sheris.
Okay. Is he displaced again?
It says it's at the end of his move.
At the end of this turn.
Okay.
So he's not displaced.
A 5 misses anyway, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so it looks at our test and swings one of its tentacles at our test and misses, and then runs over to Tristan, provoking an opportunity attack from our test.
Okay, and he hasn't blinked yet, so that's a 24 to hit. Okay, and that is 5 damage.
Okay. And he takes a swing at Tristan, and that's a hit.
Okay.
It was a 20. This is plus 6, so that'd be a 25.
Yep.
So you're going to take 7 bludgeoning. 13.
Okay.
And it decides it wants to retreat, runs past you, provoking an opportunity attack.
All right, and 13
That's a hit.
for 4 points of damage.
Okay. And it disappears into the brush, but the trail that both of these went down appears pretty easy to travel and pretty obvious. And the half-elf says we can't really leave those things out here prowling this path. We pretty much need to pursue them. I'm not telling you what to do, but I would suggest that we take those evil things out of this world.
All right.
Okay, we go after him then.
Okay.
So the one that's still in sight.
They're out. Yeah, they're out. That was my mistake. They're
Okay.
out of sight, but the trail is really easy to follow.
Okay, that's fine because I was originally thinking let him go, but
We.
So follow them. The trail, once again, is really easy to follow. And you come, it's not very far along, and you come to a spot where there are rocks and things kind of lining this path. It's very steep sides that go up and away into the forest. It looks like those are climbable, however, very steep, and it would be difficult terrain. It's more or less a 5-foot wide path through this particular area, and go ahead and arrange your tokens and how you would naturally be walking.
I'd be up front there.
that actually looks fine to me.
Okay, and actually the elf is in there too. She's kind of at the back, and she has a bow drawn. You guys are really watching very closely.
Okay, I'll run in second and be watching very closely.
Okay. So then, out from down the hill jumps in front of you a very injured-looking cat, and from behind you another very injured-looking cat. Go ahead and I'm just going to have you keep your initiative from last time unless you want to re-roll that. I don't care.
I'm good either way. I wouldn't mind going
that's fine.
faster, but
Doesn't matter to me.
yeah.
Okay. Well, the displacer beast behind you engages in combat with the elf. The one in front of you takes its tentacles and swings them at Sheriff. One was for 22 and the other was for 25.
I'm gonna shield so that the 23 misses, or the 22 misses.
Okay, so the other one would take 6 bludgeoning and 2 piercing for a total of 8.
Okay.
Next to act is our test.
Okay, and it's displaced, so we're at disadvantage. Our test is throwing a dart again.
At which one? The one on the right or the
At
one
the
on
one in front of Sheriff.
Okay.
Disadvantage. And he whiffs it.
Okay, the dart
Just hits the tree to the side of the...
like that. Yep. Anything else you want to do?
Okay, these rocks on the side.
Yeah.
Can you climb? You have to climb up them, or
yeah, it's difficult.
it's difficult terrain. So half move.
Yeah.
So he will move up
Okay.
to about there.
Okay. Make a whatever dex or strength.
Dex.
That
Okay.
you have the best at. You can use acrobatics if you're proficient or something.
Acrobatics. 23.
Okay, so some rocks are going to skitter out under your feet, but you're able to maintain your balance, being a monk and all that. Next act is Shurus.
Okay, I'm going to use my owl to negate the disadvantage and shoot a firebolt at this guy.
Okay.
So 4 fire advantage. I'm assuming a 24 hits for 4 fire.
Yep. Singes him. Okay.
I have to healing word myself.
Okay.
So I'm done.
Okay. Next act is Tristan.
Okay. Did you say that, Cherish, you hit, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to call to the elf, fight defensive, keep it busy. And I'm going to sort of jump up. That's probably difficult terrain.
Yeah.
So 5, 10, 20.
Okay. Make either a dex or a strength, whichever ability dependent on those you're best at.
Okay. Modified 20.
Yeah, good enough.
Okay. And quarterstaff will be a 21 to hit.
At disadvantage. Oh no, not at disadvantage.
Right. That's why I'm going for this one. 9 points of damage.
Okay. It falls dead.
Okay. And let's head back to, so that was 25, 30, 35, and I got to do the same thing here.
You can run down the path.
Okay.
And
35.
Each of those squares is only 5 feet. So
All right, so I'm at 20, 25, 30, 35, flurry of blows. At disadvantage on this one, yeah.
wait, no.
Oh, she did hit it. Okay, so which is good because
okay.
otherwise I would have missed. 18 to hit, and for 6 points of damage.
Okay.
And I think these things are going to go right after me, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to instead, actually, I will knock it. Do the dex check to see if it gets knocked prone.
Let me just see this screen.
Okay. So I get advantage on the last strike, which is good. So 24 to hit. And 5 points on the last kick.
Okay. Appears to be on his last cast.
Okay, and now I'm going to back up. That
Takes a bite at the elf and elf swings at it and kills it.
nice.
Yep. And just off of the screen here, you can't see it on the map, but just off of the screen there, you see a small cave. It appears to be where they were heading, perhaps making it their lair.
Let's go check it out.
Okay.
Okay, I will. We're gonna run a survival roll here. A 6. I ruined one of the hides.
Yeah.
8. Run both the hides.
Okay. Sorry. Well, so you search the cave, and you're able to very quickly find, because it's not like they hide shit. 200 gold pieces of coins, a well-made chain shirt worth 50, and I'll give you all this at the end. and a villager's pack containing a finely crafted dagger worth 35 and 15 gold pieces of coin. Additionally, I forgot to mention on the dead villager, you make your way back, and on that dead villager, you were able to find a small ruby worth about 40 and a crude map. On that map, it shows that Green Hall is perhaps a day's travel away. You might make it by tomorrow morning late.
We can do a long rest in the Displacer Beast Den.
Okay. The elf.
And I'm gonna put some of those berries there.
Okay. So
at the den.
This happened at approximately 8 o'clock in the morning. A long rest.
Take us tonight. Oh, okay.
It'd be 4 p.m. There'd be about 3 hours of daylight left in the forest.
How are you doing, Charis?
I'm out of spells.
Okay, and we're pressed on time? Yes? No?
I can be.
A night's rest here. I don't want to be traveling. I don't want to be traveling during the night to an encounter to see some angry elves and have them shoot arrows at us.
Call me an elf one more time, my friend.
Okay. Sorellis is willing to do basically whatever you decide.
Why can we not take a long rest here?
You can. There's
We
only
can.
3 hours of daylight left at the end of that, and Sorellis says we could probably still make a little bit of.
Oh, okay. So it's not late in the day.
It's morning right now.
Well, I still have 2 second level spell slots, so we can go on if you want to.
Yeah, I think we might be good to press on at least a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
If we can take a short rest, that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Taking a short rest. The rest of the
Oh.
day.
Pick that dart back up out of the tree.
That's fine. The rest of the day goes more or less uneventfully. Curiously, all of those crazy noises and crying and all those sorts of things stop. The squirrels and things, you haven't really seen any to bother you. It comes to night. Sorellis suggests a good campsite. Camp uneventfully. Take advantage of a long rest. Much deserved. Next morning you wake up, there's a feast of berries and honey laid before you. Sorellis suggests that you eat quickly and continue on to Green Hall.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so you travel a few hours. You were able to make some pretty good time, and it's the darker section of the woods. This part, the trees are very high and very kind of dark. Do a couple things here. And you're coming up to the area of Green Hall, and Sorellis says, whatever you do not anger them, do not attack them. It's of absolute importance that we treat peacefully with them. So you enter a wide glade of it's just beautiful, surrounded by a ring of tall trees. Small shelters have been built halfway up each tree, accessed by spiraling staircases circling thick trunks of these trees. There's a handful of elves kind of meandering about in their daily life. There's a nice fire. And when you walk into the clearing, some of them call out an alarm and flee into the shelters, while others grab weapons and kind of make a ring around the clearing. And one calls out in Elvish, "You should not be here. Leave this place and take your town stink with you. Do it quickly or we will cut you down." You see one elf dressed in red, and there are 5 others kind of surrounding at the base of trees, kind of half hidden behind trees, but you can tell that they mean some business here.
I will talk back in Elvish. Don't mean any harm. These people just want to talk to you, and I will sit down.
And
I will walk towards and sit down right about here before I get into the clearing.
okay.
And just put my staff on the ground and sit down.
As this is going on, Pip-Yap flies around. He's pretty hungry at this point. All of his feet being exhausted. Berries just run through him like
Well, we've been finding them on the trail after he eats them.
yeah, and they just run right through him. So there's very little nourishment. So he rolls his eyes and he starts making rude noises. And he says, "Guys, why aren't you killing them? We need to steal their food." And he's being pretty disruptive here. If any of you who wish can make a deception or persuasion, whatever charisma ability you have, roll at disadvantage to try to convince them. They're pretty pissed about the imp.
Yeah, probably be persuasion for me. At disadvantage would be a 5.
Okay.
Okay, persuasion at disadvantage.
Oh.
A 0. That's a good failure.
Oh.
I'll just be talking to the imp. Their only food is leaves.
Okay.
That's a good persuasion.
They are unconvinced by you guys. The imp is kind of acting like an idiot, and the half elf decides she's had enough of the imp and takes out a cudgel and whacks him over the head and knocks him out. And the half elf says, "Wait, stop, everybody. This is going in a way that it should not go." And she's speaking in Elvish, and she says, "Please let us try again. Let us talk to you, and we don't want any trouble, but we're here to try." And she goes on and tries to explain why you're there. And she crits her charisma roll, and they are convinced. After seeing her knock the imp out, the imp kind of wakes up and unsummons. He's gone. Poofs out of existence.
Damn.
So they say, "Okay, well, you can come and sit by the fire." And they bring out some food, but it's it's more or less traveling food. It's not their tasty stuff. It's like monk food.
I'll pull out a little bit of the pixie given berries and honey.
They're appreciative. And they say, "Well, explain exactly what you're doing here and why you're here."
So I'll explain that we're here to avoid a third party disrupting the balance of the
Dragon cult.
Yeah, the pact that they have. That the cult of the dragon is attempting to disrupt it and put you at odds so that they can run over both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least to keep you from aiding Flan. All we're here to do
is get those villagers to make peace with you, and get you to make peace with those villagers. Make sure they know that we're not from the village.
Well, they actually had a nice arrangement before this this third party showed up, and all we're looking to do is remove the third party.
They say, fair enough. Some villagers came here a while ago and we drove them off.
We found one.
Yeah, they really don't have any business at all being here. There also was an insane woodworker who came here about 10 days ago, and actually they say they haven't. The villagers mentioned an insane woodworker, and while they were here, they had run out of food and all these sorts of things, and they just looked bedraggled. But this is none of our affair. They need to stay the hell out of here if we're to honor this pact.
Agreed.
Can you guarantee us that the villagers are going to stay out of here?
The villagers have no desire for this pact to be broken.
And as long as we find that the insane villager.
You mean the whatever?
The woodworker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the problem, and the villagers have no desire to encroach on your land.
Okay. And what other business do you have in this forest?
None.
Well,
The hag.
Yeah, the hag.
They say, well, you're pretty laughably naive if you're going to go tangle with Jenny Greenteeth. She is an ancient creature not to be trifled with.
So you're okay in your forest with the hag, but you don't want the villagers coming into it.
Well, if you're dumb enough to go tangle with that hag, you can go try that. But we don't want.
You don't want to get her angry.
We're not all that fond of her ourselves. So, if you want to go over there, more power to you. But be on your way, and never come back here, regardless of what happens with the hag.
Right.
And they say
So you haven't.
the hag lives
You haven't.
over about 4 hours that way, and they point to the west.
Well, I don't have a problem with the hag. The hag isn't. I mean, I don't.
The hag isn't causing that much trouble unless the dragon cultists talk to her.
And since the dragon cultist didn't come here, where do you think he went?
Ask the elves if they've seen.
They indicate they have not seen him, right?
Yeah, they haven't seen him. They saw the villagers who were looking for him and mentioned him, but they haven't seen the carbon.
So he either got really unlucky and was eaten shortly after entering the wood, which we couldn't be that lucky, or he went right to the hag. And I don't really see a third option based on the notes that he had available.
They say, well, at any rate, you guys need to get out of here. If you're going to go with the hag, she's about 4 hours to the west. There is a trail that Sorella says, and actually I know where this hag lives as well. We better get a move on. These guys don't want us here.
Agreed.
Stand up and walk out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys walk out. start walking west where mentioned, and Sorellis is leading you, and curiously, as you guys move further and further away from Greenhall and further west, Greenhall is let's see if I can. Greenhall is here. You guys move further and further west, and the forest starts becoming more and more twisted. The trees take on, they look mutated, they look like they've got cancerous growths on them. Some of them have these weird twisted looking faces. What used to be more or less dry ground is filthy, nasty swamps. Clearly the forest here is different than elsewhere. And you travel for about 4 hours. And let's see here. Where is it? It's coming on to night. And traveling along. Just a minute, let me do some stuff here. Okay. You round a bend in the path and come to a large clearing. The ever-present canopy is open here, lending you your first view of the sky in days. The other thing that's nice about this is that it stopped storming, and you can actually see the night sky once again, with stars and things like this. And there's a small cottage with some neatly stacked logs, and to the east of it, and there's a roof with some nice shingles. There's some moss there. It's on the far edge of this glade that you've walked into, and there's an open cooking pit at the center of the clearing, and there's a large cooking pot hanging from a tripod of iron rods bubbling. It sends a delicious smell of steam into the air, and the warmth of the light and the fire warms you to your bones and banishes the forest's oppressive gloom in this area. And to the west of the cabin, you see a cage with two men kind of hanging in there. They look pretty beat up and bedraggled and all those sorts of things.
Okay, as we go up there, I'm gonna do perception, and my roll is a my result is a 22.
Okay. You see them, and they're prisoners, and one of them says, "Boy, am I happy to see you. Oh gosh, where'd you come from?"
Look back over our shoulder.
And did the villagers send you?
Who are you?
We hail from Cobble's Hill. We were sent up here to find old man. Unfortunately, he hasn't. We were never able to find him, and then we were taken prisoner. And just as that is said, the door opens of the cabin, and a woman steps out. And she looks rather surprised. She's elderly, and she says, "My goodness, you gave me quite a start." And she says, she kind of clutches the front of her shirt, and she says, "We certainly don't get visitors around these parts very often. Please sit down and warm yourselves by the fire." Have some stew. You guys moving up, obviously if you've been up, you're inspecting, you're up by the fire, so.
Right.
What would you like to do?
Well, miss, I guess we need to get those villagers out of the cage and take them back to their family, if you don't mind.
Oh, there's plenty of time to talk about that after we've eaten.
Well, I'm not really hungry.
Oh, it's delicious, though. And she points and she kind of ladles up a bowl of soup for everyone.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to eat.
It does smell really, really good.
I like my meat fresh.
Pip Yap pops into appearance and eagerly grabs a plate and just starts chowing down on it. He's like, "Oh my god, this is good."
Yep, where have you been? I thought you left.
Says,
No.
I was following you. I can't resist food, though. And he's like gorging himself on this stuff, just licking the plate. Do you have any... What brings you this way? She says.
We came to get those villagers and take them back to their families.
Well, we can talk about that eventually. Why don't you enjoy some food? Your imp seems to love it.
It's not my imp.
Well, whose imp is it then?
Some poultice guy, I think.
Oh.
We think somebody's been coming to visit you, and that's his imp.
She says, yes, about 10 days ago there was a guy named Calvin here. I haven't the foggiest notion of what he'd want with dear old me. And she kind of says, and she says, he mentioned that he was trying to get me to break the pact with the Fae. I'm a member of the Fae, obviously, and he mentioned that he was trying to get us to break the pact with the town of Flan. But he was pretty rude, and he didn't like my hospitality or my cooking, so I killed him.
Well, you appear to have done us a favor.
Thank you.
Yes. You're not eating.
I'll take a no thank you bite.
Okay, it tastes
Had-
wonderful.
Yep.
Had a big breakfast. Thank you, though.
Our test?
Our test doesn't like well-cooked meat.
Oh, okay. Well, I can fetch you something from the cabin. And she goes back in the cabin and brings you out a hunk of meat that looks a lot and has kind of the color of pork. And actually the stew tastes like pork as well.
Well, this is something our test has eaten before, not pork. And he smiles with his red, sharpened teeth, and he will take a bite.
Okay, you dig in and it tastes like pork, smells like pork, has the mouth feel of pork. Tastes pretty damn good, really. And she says, well, I'm aware that, some villagers came as well, and that's who's in that cage up there. They really have no business in the forest. There were a few more of them, they went elsewhere.
I look into the cooking pot to see if they're in there.
I'm
Okay,
trying
so-
not to look.
You look into the cooking pot, and as it's bubbling, a head kind of bubbles up and then goes back under, and then a hand bubbles up and floats back under as well.
Yeah.
I will sit back down and pull out my drum. And this drum is a human skull covered in human skin.
She says, we have
What's
similar
the matter with
tastes."
you?
And he takes another bite of the not pork.
Okay.
So, milady, I'm kind of hoping maybe we can come to some sort of arrangement regarding these villagers. They have made a bad decision in an attempt to preserve something that you and yours were wise enough to create this pact.
Right.
And we would love to be able to bring them home so they could tell the tale of why it is not such a good idea to cross you or to defy you ever.
Okay, so you can make a whatever charisma ability you are best at advantage because you took a bite of the stew.
Okay.
Actually, everybody needs to do that. Sheris, you didn't eat, so you don't get advantage.
Okay.
So what is the check again? I'm sorry. It's a per.
Whatever
7.
charisma you're best at.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I only rolled a 9, but I'm not done negotiating yet. Get another idea.
Okay. Let's see. What did everybody get on that first one there?
I got a 9.
Okay.
That's it's
So she's really not convinced. The elf steps forward. The elf takes a big, huge plate of the stuff and just wolfs it down, and she kind of turns green momentarily, and kind of like that, and coughs up a finger, and she starts making an attempt here on your behalf. Her being, familiar with Jenny Greenteeth, but not particularly enthused at this discussion. And actually, rolling with advantage, she nat 20'd it.
Oh, okay.
So, and Pip-Yap tries. Pip-Yap's like, we should, and he gets advantage. I'm going to give him a shot. And he makes it. So, she was unconvinced by you guys. She was more or less convinced by Pip-Yap and the elf, and so I'm going to say it was a slight success.
Can I attempt a reroll by offering something else to the hag?
Okay, she's willing to listen.
Well, we didn't come empty-handed. I'm sure one as wise as you would know how best to treat. And I put my hand on Pip-Yap's back and shove him towards the hag with something like this.
And he looks very scared. And she says, "My dearie, what a wonderful idea!" And she snaps her fingers, and Pip-Yap is now standing obediently by her right leg and looking up like, "Yes, master." His countenance is now very much sad, and you can roll again with advantage. Actually, everybody gets to roll again.
Oh, I critted.
Okay.
$11.
Okay.
well, I'm not going to be able to beat his 20.
Yeah, I know, but
Something.
everybody has to roll anyway.
Go ahead and roll.
I
Yeah.
think it's a group check.
Oh.
22.
Yeah, so that's good enough. Okay, so I'm going to count that as actually, all things considered, a success, an unqualified success. So you managed to convince her not to ally with the Cult of the Dragon, but you failed to convince her to reinstate the pact. She dismisses you from her glade, and the town no longer has the protection of the Fae. But as a parting gesture, because she's very happy with your gift of the imp, and because you treated with her well,
Will she give us a villager or two to take back with us?
she's letting you take the villagers, and they're to spread the word that the pact is broken. And she also gives you a cloak of elven kind that was hanging on a peg by the door. And that is the conclusion of our adventure. I'll have to figure out what your rewards were. Let's see. I'm going to count Pip-Yop as a defeated foe.
Giving them to the. That was good. Yes.
Yeah. And let's see. So it's going to take me just a second. I'm going to stop streaming though. Thanks for joining us, all one person in the history of the world that's ever going to watch us, and you've been watching DDEX1-8.